called the state their home for a few months are now helping out in the South Delta. They can identify with the disaster with their country in war with Russia. Delta News reporter Dennis Turner shows us how they're helping with the recovery efforts.
Take a look at war-torn Ukraine, and now take a look at Rolling Fork. If you don't immediately see the similarity, it's okay. Refugees from the Ukraine in this country do, and they all want to do something to help.
They lost their houses, they don't have water. That's exactly what people going through in Ukraine, and it's painful.
A nonprofit group called the American Service says enough people have expressed interest in helping the Delta that they've organized a trip all the way from Minnesota to the Delta to help.
The level of devastation it's caused, I think it touched the hearts of our Ukrainians who've just arrived.
Many of these people have only lived in the U.S. for a few months, but feel a great debt for their freedom and their safety.
I just genuinely grateful to be here in America and to get all these opportunities for myself.
And these Ukrainian refugees believe to receive, you should also give back.
Oh, how could you not? I came from the same situation, and it's just, it's disaster. I feel bad for these people.
They spent all week in the Delta before returning home, learning more about America and about surviving disaster, something they already know well.
There's a love for the country that has welcomed them, and they want to show that love.
Dennis Turner, the Delta News.
Emergency official, Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders is reporting extensive damage to houses and businesses. The tornado brought down part of the roof of a shopping center and brought down many trees as well as damaged homes. The National Weather Service there called the tornado catastrophic, and they had to send their workers into a tornado shelter for safety. And the Memphis office of the National Weather Service had to take over, issuing the warning. Several injuries have been reported and thousands of people are without power tonight. The tornado is part of the same system that is passing right here through the Delta. And a lot of folks in Leland have been stepping up and offering their help to the storm victims. The Delta News reporter Chase Ward has more on their efforts.
The Community and Civic Center in Leland has been turned into a distribution center to help those affected by last week's storms. Here, many products have been donated from various organizations throughout the community. They are also offering shelter for work crews who have come to help in cleanup efforts.
We have wonderful volunteers show up from all over the country. We're from Eastern Oklahoma, where Grindstone is headquarters out of. And we all came out here. We were actually on the road doing our work, doing tactical medical training across the country, and diverted to come out here because the need was so great.
There are many donation sites throughout Leland and at many local churches. You can also bring your donations to the Civic Center. They are accepting canned foods, hygiene products, and more.
Little things like this that seem little to us are so big and in such great need right now. These people need help, and they have the Humane Society over there grabbing animals that are found, and the locals are reaching out over Facebook, over social media, because it is a smaller community, finding their homes. And this is my first deployment, so it's been very real, very emotional, and I've been crying with these families.
The volunteers in Leland said they will continue to help those in need and will stay as long as they can to help clean up and help those try to rebuild their lives. Reporting in Leland, I'm Chase Ward, Delta News.
Now, folks, we begin tonight in the South Delta, where President Biden was in town to give his support to the tornado victims and to see for himself all of the damage that the storms left behind. Delta News reporter Dave Reimer has the first of our two reports on the president's visit to Rolling Fork.
We're not just here for today. I'm determined that we're going to leave nothing behind.
These were the words said by President Biden to the people of Rolling Fork today. He assured the people that the governor, Congress, and himself were represented there today to reinforce that they were not fighting this tragedy alone. He also told the people that he had signed the Expedited Major Disaster Declaration, which gives them access to more federal resources.
When I spoke to the governor, he said what he needed most was a federal disaster declaration, so that the earliest hours of Sunday morning, I signed that Expedited Major Disaster Declaration, which gave you more access to more federal resources.
Americans can take pride as he talks about how in situations like this that he has been to, one thing is in common. When the neighborhood is in trouble, the whole neighborhood comes to help. During his visit to Rolling Fork, Biden announced that his administration will cover the full cost of the state's emergency response. That includes, for the next 30 days, all costs for opening shelters, as well as paying overtime to responders and having the debris removed. As a side note, there are currently over 300 federal personnel on the ground working to help the ongoing response to the disaster.
And once in town, the president announced that the White House is going to make sure that the tornado victims are cared for. Delta News.
Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders just declared a state of emergency in Arkansas. In Little Rock, a catastrophic tornado ripped apart homes and flipped cars. Our CBS affiliate KTHV in Little Rock reports that police have been transporting the injured in their patrol cars because there are not enough ambulances to respond.
A massive tornado touched down in North Little Rock, Arkansas late this afternoon, packing powerful winds and dumping heavy rain as it flew through the area, moving 50 miles per hour. The storm left behind homes in tatters, scattering debris for several blocks, downed power lines, and snapped tree limbs that fell on passing cars. Driver Mike Houston narrowly escaped serious injuries.
All of a sudden it just all hit and
As the storm cleared, some residents were in shock.
Twist it around, look at the woods back here.
To the north in Iowa, another violent tornado struck near Iowa City with high winds and large quarter-size hail. While in Rolling Fork, Mississippi today, President Biden met with residents who are still recovering after an EF4 tornado ripped through this community 7 days ago.
Getting that sudden experience you lost someone is devastating. It's absolutely devastating.
With the president, and he also wanted to see more of the storm damaged area. His first stop was at the South Delta Middle School in Anguilla, where he was greeted by Red Cross personnel, and he thanked them for their quick response right after the tornadoes hit. The governor also stopped at the South Delta Elementary School in Rolling Fork, along with a number of other locations that were damaged.
What I would say to the folks in Rolling Fork and in Amory and everywhere in between is that we as Mississippians love you, and we're going to continue to work hard every single day to bring this community back. It's a small, close-knit community here in Sharkey County, and I think we've seen that since that devastating storm came through here.
Now, Governor Reeves was also first in that area earlier this week to assess the problem. And the town hall in Rolling Fork may have been destroyed, but that hasn't stopped local governments from operating. Meteorologist Andrew Humphrey shows us how town officials got back up and running in a hurry.
Although Rolling Fork City Hall was completely destroyed by a tornado on Friday night, city government continues to run and city officials continue to work.
Official city business is being run out of an energy company's mobile unit. As expected, city residents are anxious while grieving, but they are understanding. So city leaders are undeterred and determined to serve, even in a city hall on wheels.
we had to go on with business. Business got to go on. We can't stop just because of this. We got to press on. We got to do what we have to do and do what we was elected to do, and that's run the city. It's very important because we still have bills. We still have things to pay. We got to make payroll. We got people working. We got city employees. We got to look out. They are families. We're there. So we letting them know. We talking to them. They say, hey, what y'all doing? Hey, the city's still running, man. If you still need us, let us know. I'm pleased with the feedback of my ward and the people that I see over. They say, hey, we know you're going to get Drake. One guy came in the other day, they call me Drake. They said, Drake, you're going to look out for us.
As the rebuilding of Rolling Fork continues, we will be sure to keep you updated. Andrew Humphrey, the Delta News.
When a tornado hit there last week, tonight we hear from a member of the family who lost his parents and a brother. Chris Knowles has more from Black Hawk.
It's just like hearts, like needles in my heart.
D'Angelo White's got an alert on his phone of a tornado warning. Within seconds, his life changed forever. A tornado ripped his home into pieces, separating the floor from the house.
Boom, it hit, and we just felt the house moving and everything. I felt like air over my head, so I knew we were like outside. Me and my cousin like picked stuff off our back, and I got my wife and my two kids, and with my cousin helped, we got them out the house.
That's not the most tragic part. After escaping, D'Angelo rushed across the street to check on his mom when things took a turn for the worse.
Yeah, when I came over here, I lost it. I came to look for my mom and stuff, and I was hollering their name, and no one say nothing.
54-year-old Helen Munford, 51-year-old Danny Munford, and their 14-year-old twin, Jadarian Murphy, were killed during the storm. This is the sidewalk that D'Angelo White would walk across the street to come visit his mom, but now all that's left is this. He found his mom thrown yards away, and his dad and brother were caught up in the twister and found in the field behind the house. He says he was the biggest mama's boy.
My mom, she was a brilliant lady, you know. She drove the bus for Carroll County, teacher for Carroll County, all the kids. Most likely they love her. I can write a book by my mom, you know. I can write a book by her. Okay, she had to go through some things like this.
And folks in Montgomery and Panola counties are now eligible for FEMA disaster assistance after they were also hit by tornadoes last week. FEMA will provide victims there with temporary housing, basic home repairs, and other disaster-related services. They may need more. For more information on how to apply online at disasterassistance.gov or call the FEMA office. And tornado victims who applied for FEMA assistance will receive a letter from the FEMA by mail or by email. The letter will let you know the status of your application and how you need to respond. FEMA officials also say it is important to read the letter carefully because it will include the amount of assistance that you will receive and what you're required to use that money for. You can also might have to add more information and documents in order to qualify for that assistance.